bringing you the latest Arizona high school football recruiting news year-round. This is the Recruiting Roundup on ProsToPreps.com.
Another very busy week for you as spring evaluation period is nearing a close. All sorts of more offers. And Jason, this time around, we have two commitments to bring to you. Let's jump right into it. The first one, offensive lineman out of Hamilton, who's following a former teammates of his footsteps.
Bryce Holland, the center out of Hamilton, has committed to Army. Like you mentioned, he's following Patrick Joseph, who also ended his recruitment very early and signed with Army. Huge get for the cadets to come into Arizona, come into one of the powerhouse programs 2 years in a row, and land one of the state's top offensive linemen.
So that's Bryce Holland. He's committed to Army. Let's get into some JUCO news. Don't do this nearly enough, but a former prep standout, Jordan Gerke, a quarterback at a Notre Dame prep. He played at a community college level last season. He's going to play some Pac-12 football next season.
What a path for Jordan. He was a 3-year starter at Notre Dame prep. Didn't get recruited, goes to Scottsdale Community College, has a great freshman year. Ended up transferring to Ventura, was there in spring ball. Colorado came through. They went out to Notre Dame prep, saw head coach Gary Gregory looking for a quarterback. Jordan was a qualifier, came out, and it just worked out in the right place. He's in the right place at the right time. He's going to Colorado, going to be there for 3 years, the next 3 years of his life. Huge for Jordan.
Jason Jewell brought you that news first over the weekend. Jordan Gerke going to play Pac-12 football next season. A lot of players we mentioned are going to be were some sleeper guys to keep an eye on during this time of year. Got their first offers, finally starting to get some attention. And one guy that got plenty of attention in the last week out of Perry, Lane Veach, not only did he get his first offer, he got 3 last week.
Exactly. Finally is right. This is a kid that we've been hyping up for the last month or so. 6'6", 220 pounds. First offer comes in from Northern Colorado. University of Arizona, an FBS, a big-time offer then follows, and then Montana offered the kid. I think he plays outside backer now. I think he ends up being a defensive end, 6'6", 220 now. He's only going to get bigger.
An offensive lineman, Jason, I know that you were very high on out of Buckeye. His name is Ishmael Betancourt.
No one was talking about Ishmael. I mean, Buckeye's way out there. It's 45 minutes west of Phoenix, but go out there, it's worth it. When I went out there last week, he's 6'5" and 275 pounds. He's one of the most physically impressive offensive linemen that I've seen all of spring. When I was out there, the offensive coordinator, Nick Rolovich from Nevada, was there as well. The very next day, they turned around and offered him first offer, and I expect quite a few more for this kid.
Let's head down to Tucson for a couple players. The first one, Dominique Drake out of Buena. He received his first offer.
Yeah, Army also coming in and offering him. He's a kid finally got his first offer. He had a great junior year, rushed for over 1,600 yards and scored 23 touchdowns. Someone finally went down south of Tucson to Sierra Vista and offered this kid. I think is a great pickup.
Another player out of Tucson that has all sorts of talent getting some attention is from CDO, John Jackson.
He's another kid that we were hyping up as a sleeper prospect, and we were surprised that he didn't have an offer. Wyoming offered him Monday night. Huge get. He plays some fullback. He's played some tight end along the way, but Wyoming offered him as a defensive end.
And we've been hearing a lot about the big 3 prospects out of Chaparral, and we'll mention those guys in a minute. But first, Marshall Forrest received his first offer.
He just got done playing baseball, turns around and finishes up spring ball, gets his first offer from Cornell, Ivy League program, and then Fort Lewis, a Division II program in the RMAC, offered him as well.
And as mentioned, a lot of the other players that we mention every week got some more offers. We'll run through that list really quick. Trevor Wood, Keenan Walker, Tyler Wiley, all at Chaparral, teammates with Marshall Forrest, got offered by Nebraska. Nebraska also offered Lath Frick out of Centennial. Christian Kirk out of Saguaro, he received a Nebraska offer on top of Notre Dame and Texas Tech. He has just continued to blow up this spring. Jordan Schleter, BYU, Luke Rebenzer, Columbia, Casey Tucker, Ole Miss, and Quinn Bailey out at Higley received 3 more offers this week: New Mexico State, Utah, and Washington. So those are some of the usual suspects that we mention every week, continuing to add to their offer list. But now, Jason, you've been out at spring practice the last few weeks. You've talked with high school coaches, college coaches. Who are some of the guys that you're hearing about quite frequently that are just on the cusp of receiving their first offers?
There's quite a few, actually. Right now, the first kid I want to talk about is Marcos quarterback Josh Eckley. He's a dual threat quarterback. Run the ball a little bit, great with the ball in his hands. No offers yet. I know Nevada really likes this kid. I expect offers to come in for him. Last year Marcos had all those athletes, and he stood out as one of the top athletes on the field. I expect offers to come in for him soon.
There's a defensive tackle out of Central High School. Don't hear many guys out of Central, but he's a guy that you're hearing his name pop up a lot.
Polynesian kid Kalepi Fafita plays defensive tackle, about 6'1", 275 pounds. He's also a national level rugby player, but he wants to play college football the next level. I know South Dakota State, Wyoming, New Mexico State have shown a lot of interest in him.
Chandler has all sorts of talented players every year. You could just look at the last NFL draft. They had 3 players drafted, the most of any high school in the country, and they have a defensive back who you're hearing a lot from.
Yeah, Wesley Sutton, he's a cornerback that I really, really like. I'm surprised he hasn't been offered yet. I know that the first offer is going to come in soon after these schools go back after spring evaluation period and have their meetings. I think Sutton's a kid whose name is going to be a regular on this show as getting more and more offers.
A wide receiver out of Paradise Valley who you've said his body type has just improved tremendously. He's got a great-looking kid, and that's Jordan Brown out of Paradise.
Yeah, Jordan he's grown at least an inch. He's gained probably 15 pounds of muscle. He looks absolutely phenomenal. I know North Dakota State was out there, South Dakota State, Arizona, where some of the schools went out and saw him. Another kid that I think after spring evaluation period ends, we'll get some offers.
Another guy that we saw in person, Emmanuel Butler, a wide receiver out of Mountain Point. You go and check out Jalen Brown, and you're impressed by him, but then you see this kid running around too, and you're like, well, why haven't you heard more about him?
One of the most physically impressive kids that we saw. He's 6'3" and over 200 pounds. He only played half of his junior season, was injured. You see him now, he's playing a little bit of tight end. I think he's going to end up being a big receiver at the next level. I know Nevada, New Mexico State, and a handful of other schools were showing a lot of interest in him.
And there's not just Jordan Schleter out at Notre Dame Prep. There's another player, Phil Caniglia, who's starting to pick up, to gain a lot of attention in spring practice.
Another very physically impressive, good-looking kid. Also a great student, almost a 4.0 GPA. Kids like that look good, that have good film, and are great students get recruited, and I feel that Philip is going to end up getting some offers here pretty quick.
Lots of information we brought you, and it's just gotten busier and busier and busier, and we'll continue to bring the latest news and what Jason and I are hearing from around spring practice here on the Recruiting Roundup, so make sure you stay with us. Until next time, that's Jason Jewell, I'm Jared Cohen. This has been the Recruiting Roundup on ProsToPreps.com.